Hey guys, I hope this is better. I'm really sorry about that. You'll have to be patient here. Janet, this is better for you, yeah?
Yeah, I hear you
Let me
great.
all right. Threat, could you not hear me in listener?
No, not until I was made a speaker.
All right. Maybe it's not me then. The only other time I've solved this problem on the fly is when I didn't record the space. Which is fine. I'd like other people to hear it, but there seems to be some sort of issue with this morning. I'll do my best, guys. So, yeah, I see some people dropping out still. Casey, you can hear me, bud? That's good. And Nicole can. All right, so I guess it's better. Maybe it is some people. Oftentimes at night when I go into Gemini space, I have to constantly drop in and out. But I don't think it's a me thing because I'm at home sitting next to my router. So it could be, something with this feature. I don't know. Or maybe some of you are just having a ton of problems in spaces. I'm not sure. So how about you, niece?
Yeah, I hear you now that you made me speaker, but even from the reset, you were still clicking in and out, Gad. So I don't think it's anything you can do. But there is an update out there, and I updated my app. I took it off Bluetooth, turned the phone off, and it still was doing things. So Janet's probably right. It's an internal X thing. So just letting you know. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys. Let me, just got back in the truck. I had to do something outside really quick. Let me get on the road. Maybe that'll help. So 2 seconds here. We had a storm yesterday. I don't know if that's got anything to do with anything external here, but right. Yeah, we got our first snow here in New England. It's a banger. We only got about 4 inches here, but up north they got pounded as they always do. All right. Blaze can't hear either. All right. So Blaze, same thing. You couldn't hear unless you were on speaker.
That is affirmative.
Okay. All right. Well, let me get another co-host up just to approve Mike. So, all right. Well, I'll keep this short then because there seems to be an issue. I'm sorry, guys. I'm unable to fix it. Everything's been updated on my phone, so I'm not even on Wi-Fi at the moment.
It's like X is saying you have to be in the secret club to be a member or something. It's so stupid.
Yeah. It happens like once a month. I get these. I just can't get going because people can't hear. So if I'm going in and out for those of you in the listener section, you're gonna have to grab a mic if you want to hear this because I can't modify it, guys. I'm sorry. I'm driving. I don't have time to fuck with it, and I don't think it's as you're hearing. I don't think it's a me problem. So unless it's my earbuds, but I don't think it's that either. Anyway. All right. So Van Epps wins. Like I said, I'll keep this short because it doesn't do any good if people can't hear. Van Epps is short. I'm sorry. Van Epps won last night. He was short of, I think, what people wanted him to be at, which was like a 5 or 6% win. I'm sorry, double-digit win. He was just under, and I think it was 9.8. We'll get the final numbers hopefully today. But I would call it a decisive victory, guys, because like I said, you're going to hear people say Trump plus 22, Trump plus 22. there's a lack of a ground game. You're going to hear all these tired cliches. So, Gemini too, if you don't mind DMing the chat groups,
Sure.
because I see Bella coming in and out. The poor thing. I think she wants. You're gonna have to let her know. I know it's early and she probably doesn't want to talk, but if she wants to hear, she'll have to request the mic.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Yeah, if you could do that for me, that would be
Yeah.
sweet. But here's the thing, guys. Whether it's 6%, 7%, I think he got just under 10. That was the last they saw last night, Matt Van Epps. Again, think of the circumstances. It's the most purple district in Tennessee. Okay. It includes a major metropolitan city, which is not conservative, even though it's a red Tennessee. And the other side of the coin is when you have an incumbent Republican that abruptly is resigning, that's a handicap. Okay, it's a handicap for whoever, whether it's Matt Van Epps or whomever. It's going to be a problem for that person because they don't have time to fundraise appropriately. They don't have infrastructure in place, and they don't have a lot of other things. Where the Democrats poured a lot of money into a really radical candidate who has been on record saying she doesn't like country music. I'm not going to hold that against her. I actually think that's a benefit, not a liability for her, because I hate country music. And then also, what did she might have said some anti-Christian views? I don't know. She said something like she didn't like the city of Nashville. She didn't like living there. She was on record as saying she didn't like living there. She was a Democrat state senator from that district. So what I would say is, to anybody who's got questions about the race in general and where the Republican Party stands going into the midterms, is that I'm not really believing the take that people have on the state of the Republican Party. The midterms are 11 months away, and people got very, very worried in October, when Mamdani won the New York City mayoral race, when Spanberger won pretty decisively in Virginia for that governor's race, and also the Jersey governor's race. Again, you've had a Democrat incumbent for 8 years in New Jersey. It was an uphill battle for that Republican candidate to win, who was a good candidate, by the way. And I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, those were the only races. But besides Van Epps, guys, there was I'll get that up in the nest if I can, but you got to look it up. There was a mayoral race in a city in Georgia. It wasn't Atlanta. It was a smaller city where Kamala had won that by 20 points last year. And they just elected a Republican mayor, beating the incumbent Democrat mayor. So that's Georgia, which a lot of people would argue is becoming more purple than it is red. So the argument is there, guys, that as much as people want to say that, oh, well, they're not going to be ready for the midterms because there's no, Charlie Kirk is not around and the ground game's not going to be strong. And if this is the other favorite, if Trump is off the ballot, you won't be able to make any headway with some of these candidates. And that was proven incorrect last night by Matt Van Epps' victory. Okay, so that keeps the GOP caucus at, I think, 220 votes versus the Democrats 213, I believe, is the breakdown. So we're holding the House, guys. The House is being held. All right. Van Epps held the 7th district last night in the special election. Okay. It was almost like a pop-up snap election, and he won. And if he gets double digits, guys, a guy that had no money behind him, had no name recognition, was not an experienced campaigner, and is relatively new to politics. And he had president's endorsement. But in a district like that, that incorporates greater Nashville, that's an uphill battle for a Republican when the Democrats are outspending They spent over $10 million on that race for a very bad candidate, in my opinion. And so I'll just make this announcement, guys. If you're popping in and out, you're going to have to grab a mic to hear. There seems to be a space issue. So I won't call on you unless you want to talk or have your hand up, but you're going to have to grab a mic in order to hear this. I'm sorry. Those of you that are in here and you see friends popping in and out of here and they can't hear, DM them the space after. It's recorded. They could hear it. Thank you. Niece, go ahead. I'll pause here. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make a couple points, Gads. Thanks. I did notice because I was watching TV off and on, saw a lot of boomers going in yesterday during the day. Now I'm sure they're retired and the younger people were still working, but go boomers. I think they showed up. Van Epp said, very smart guy. He said it, Gads and everybody. You either go with Trump, you support him in the GOP on the Republican side, you go against him, we're not going to win. I was really happy to hear him say that. Very smart. Todd Starnes made a really good point too, because I think he's in Tennessee. Yeah, he said, Nashville has been completely invaded by the left. They don't serve biscuits and gravy anymore. It's, bagels and lox or whatever now. And they brought their voting policies with them, which is what we see happening across the country. But I also will say, I do think the GOP does need to do a better messaging job. This Joe Gruber, who's the new RNC chair, I don't really know that much about him, but I keep seeing I'm getting invites for, supper club dinners, 1,500 a plate still. I don't know. Maybe the Dems do that too. To me, that is so archaic. They gotta get a little more aggressive or smarter in that, the messaging. I mean, that's why people are bitching about President Trump. All he does is talk about how good everything is. Well, my gosh, he has to, because, it just doesn't get out there any other way. And I'm not trying to change the subject, but since I got the speaker for a second, I just got to tell you something. I love Maria Bartiromo. I watch her every morning. Roger Williams is a congressman from Texas. He was on there this morning on a hit. And they were talking about the bill for insider trading. And one of the guests asked him if he backed it, and he does not. And his reasoning infuriated the fuck out of me. He said, well, it's pricey to run for Congress and to be in DC. And if we take an incentive away, we're not going to have any good people running. And one of the guys on the panel said, you can't do that. You get insider information in Congress. That would be like a CEO doing insider trading. You can't do that. And he said, well, yeah, but we got to trust that people are going to do the right thing. This is the problem we're dealing with, that he really thinks that we're that stupid, that we don't understand what Congress is doing. So it's a mess, but I just wanted to put that out there because I couldn't believe that guy even said those exact words. Thank you.
Well, no surprise there. Don't be surprised if that bill doesn't pass either. As sad as that is to say, it's going to look. It might have bipartisan support. It might pass. I think that the curtain's been, pulled. I think the reveal is there. I think people understand it. It's going to handicap them running for reelection, having this over their head. The situation with insider trading. I mean, people on both sides of the aisle hate Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that was really her claim. She's made $24 million in profit in 5 years of being a congressperson. So, I mean, it's when it's somebody like that who's very polarizing, that's on their resume. Dan Crenshaw is another one. Uh, these are Republicans too. These aren't even Democrats. I think that they'll make up that gap somewhere else. Believe me. Any of the Democrats who vote to ban insider trading amongst members of Congress, they're probably very well connected. So, thanks, Nee. So, Janet, go ahead. You get your hand up, and then I'll get into the details of Van Epps a little more. Then we'll move to the Somalian situation, which I think is going to be explosive, and I can't wait. Can you guys hear Janet or no?
No, I can't hear her.
All right,
No.
Janet, you might.
Can you hear me
talk.
now? Can you hear
Yes.
me now? Okay, sorry, I had my mic off. I'm so sorry. If I'm going to put it down in the bubble below, but if you tell everyone to turn on the captions, they can read what you're saying, even though we can't hear it if they don't have a mic. That's all I wanted to tell everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And if you guys, because I am driving, if you are friends with anybody in here who you see popping in or out, or they're DMing you saying, just tell them they're going to have to request a mic. And this is recorded, so if they want to listen to it later, that works too. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So getting into Van Epps here, into the details. My mission, guys, is to give you as I see it, the correct path forward. And really, the last, I would say, 6 or 7 months, you guys have been completely gaslit by MAGA people. And really, what gave them the impetus to continue this was the situation regarding the off-year elections for the Virginia, Jersey, and the mayoral race in New York City. We spent the entire fall listening to the crafted narrative that because Charlie Kirk is dead, because Trump's not on the ballot, that the Republicans have quote unquote no ground game. And I think a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, I had a really long space that it seems a lot of you liked because I got a lot of feedback from it, where you agreed with my theory that it's not a Republican grassroots problem. It's a logistical geographical problem. The issue we have is the country is so balkanized, not just red and blue, especially on the heels of Trump's victory last year. But young people are not living in rural red America anymore because what are the two demographics we say Republicans have problems with? Not in terms of race, but in terms of age. It's Gen Z and younger millennials. So basically 18 to 28-year-olds, which was Charlie Kirk's wheelhouse. Okay, when I say problem, I'm not shitting on these people. I'm just saying, what is the problem with people 18 to 28 years old? They tend to go to college. Okay, and universities, even if they're in red states, tend to be in cities in very liberal blue areas. And they stay there too. Where are jobs? So if you go to college for an ethnic studies degree, you're not going to be getting a job in bumblefuck, Missouri, population 4,800, GOP voter registration 98%. You're going to be living in New York City. You're going to be living in Los Angeles. You're going to be living in Atlanta. You're going to be living in Boston. What do all these cities have in common? They're completely Democrat controlled infrastructures, and they have been for decades, if not generations. So therefore, it is really, really hard to chase votes in the Bronx and Brooklyn, guys. When the young people that are there, yes, they're there for jobs because they're in white collar fields, but also they're living there because they like the socialism. Okay, because you don't have conservative Gen Xers living in Manhattan. You have transplants from red states who maybe, I'm from Biloxi, Mississippi. My father's a Baptist minister. I can't be a purple haired lesbian in Biloxi, but I can move to New York and be myself and have a nose ring and all this other shit. And that's what I've been trying to tell these big shot Republicans that run spaces at night is you guys are making the incorrect argument. You're not understanding logistics. You think that the Republicans have a messaging problem. That isn't the situation. Young people are not living where Republicans live. And I just gave you two reasons. While we don't like to admit it, there is a large section of Gen Z where they like socialism because they were brought up and born in the Obama era. They know in America of Obamacare. They know everybody should own a home. It's socialism, basically Marxism. So while they might mature and grow out of it when they're in their 40s or 50s, they're not at that place now, which is why they're living in San Francisco and New York, guys. It's not a messaging problem. You have a problem. You have a problem where the people who you think you can reach don't want to hear your message. and they're living in Democrat-controlled cities where they want to be there. They must they like public transit. They must like having Somalians take over their city or Venezuelans. They like the chaos, is what I'm saying. So that's why I'm not. It's not the Republicans being lazy or not having a plan, guys. Trump's been on the scene for 10 years now. Half of that is president. The message is out there. Okay, MAGA is not something you have to go on Wikipedia to find out the tenements of MAGA. It's not a message. Don't believe. And I like these people. We just have a severe disagreement. A lot of these people have worked with Turning Point USA, and they seem leaderless right now with Charlie being dead. A lot of these people have worked on campaigns. A lot of these people have been influencers in various elections. So when your whole world is politics, podcasting, X Spaces, going to MAGA rallies, brick suit, and what have you, you're not really, you're getting a very filtered view of what is out there. I guess what I'm saying is when you don't have a fucking day job and you don't deal with apolitical people who don't have the X app, and they sure as hell don't go into spaces, you're really doing a disservice to the regular people that are using X Spaces and social media as a new way to get news by convincing them that it is a Republican problem. And if we take our foot off the gas pedal, we're not going to win any elections. No, I push back on that strongly. I would say, well, where is there a problem? Where are the Republicans weak? Well, they just elected a communist in New York City. And I'm sitting here, guys, I wanted to grab that person through my phone and punch them in the fucking throat. Republicans in New York City, guys, are like Democrats in Alabama. They don't exist. What are you talking about? We have a messaging problem. Look at the number. What was it? 4 out of 10 New Yorkers are illegal aliens. Do you think that they want to get a knock at the door from Charlie Kirk's minions and be given a red MAGA hat? They're fucking hiding from the cops and ICE right now. What are you talking about? We have a messaging problem in New York City. It's a hellhole. It's dystopia, guys. There's no conservative values to be found in Manhattan. I don't know if any of you have been there recently. It's the most unconservative place I've ever been in my life. And yet, and I'm guilty of it too, we spend countless hours in spaces with very smart people saying if the Republicans don't do this, they're not going to win at the midterms. Trump's not going to be on the ballot. Mike Johnson's a bad speaker. He's going to lose the House. You know what? He might lose the House, but you know what? I'm willing to bet he keeps it. And I already think that the Republicans are going to keep the Senate too. And I'm going to tell you why right now, very briefly. Mike Rogers is going to be the inevitable Republican candidate for Senate in Michigan next year. He ran last time. He barely lost to one of the seditious six, you know her now, Elisa Slotkin, whatever her name is, that cow. And right now, generic ballot, likely voters, they've got like 5 shades of Democrats that are going to be running for that. Everything from Detroit liberals to socialists to, maybe blue dog Democrats. Mike Rogers is polling ahead of all of them. Any of those 5 Democrats that are, and one of them is a Mamdani female, like a Pakistani or Indian woman who's a socialist. I don't know her name, but this is in Michigan. He's beating them all by anywhere from 3 to 8 points. Doesn't matter which Democrat wins. Now, why is this significant? Well, it's an open Senate seat next year, Michigan. So Michigan is one of these states, guys, that has benefited from Trump's tariffs. And you got the United Auto Workers Union in Detroit. It's a big union labor state with the Teamsters and everybody else. Detroit is applauding Trump tariffs right now. The steel and aluminum tariffs, the auto tariffs, all of that stuff is helping the Democrat blue collar people in Detroit and greater Michigan. So that's a state where maybe it's an outlier, but Mike Rogers is going to be the next U.S. Senator from Michigan, guys. John James, guy who's been in the House for several years, is running for governor. The other cow, Gretchen Whitmer, is term limited out. John James is polling ahead out of all of his Democrat opposition. Michigan's going to go red, guys, from purple to red next year. And why is that? Because you have to look at it on a state-by-state basis, guys. Michigan is a state like Pennsylvania and really all of the Rust Belt, which has applauded Trump's tariffs on our North American neighbors and Europe. It might not be the case in other states, but Michigan, guys, is the steel and aluminum tariff alone is going to help the city of Pittsburgh greatly. Not to mention the rest of Pennsylvania. So, okay, that's an example of some positives that are going down for the midterms. I gave you the example of there was another race last night. It was a mayoral race in Georgia City. I don't recall which one. It wasn't Atlanta, obviously, but Kamala won this district plus 20 over Trump last year. A Republican just unseated the Democrat incumbent last night by double digits. That's a huge pickup for the Republican Party. So I don't know who the federal representative is, the congressperson in that area. It might have been Athens or Rome. I can't remember. Maybe not. Maybe Kennesaw. If there's a Democrat incumbent, man, they better start writing the Republican a lot of checks right now, because that is a winnable, flippable House seat if it's in control of the Democrats. Georgia's a big state with a lot of people, so even though that was a Democrat city, it might be in a Republican congressional district. So, stuff to think about. That's all regarding the midterms. But I think Van Epps is a beachhead, because it was basically a pop-up snap election for this seat, for the abrupt retirement of Republican Mark Green, who's decided, he's not satisfied with making millions. He wants to make tens of millions in the private sector, probably for a defense contractor. So fuck him. I don't care if he is a Republican that votes for Trump. He's a greedy little son of a bitch. I mean, who the hell would retire for? He couldn't even finish out his term. Guys, give me a break. It's like the last name's even the same. What is it with the last name Green down south? Whether it's Georgia or Tennessee, they decide they want to resign from Congress because they don't get their way, or they want to make endless amounts of money. And these are Republicans, guys. Very disheartening. You should be very disheartened by all of this. So anyway, Van Epps wins. I'm going to say by 10 points, double digits. All the haters are pissed. They wanted this to be this means Trump doesn't know what he's doing with the economy, and they're falling for affordability and all this other shit. By the way, Trump said it yesterday in his cabinet meeting. Affordability is a con job, and it is. It's a psyop that worked on many shades of MAGA over the last, like I said, maybe 6 months. How can you say that, guys? Michael Dell and his wife are donating basically $6 billion or thereabouts to these Trump accounts for children up to 10 years old, which I think is great. I don't want to get into that because it's a huge program, but guys like Michael Dell, friend, I know it's a big write-off for his company, and I understand that, but guys like Michael Dell do not write checks for 6 or 7 billion fucking dollars if this is a bad economy. We all get the numbers for Thanksgiving. How many of you that can hear me? How many of you spent less than $3 a gallon on gas commuting for your Thanksgiving holiday? I was one of those people. I filled up I was at a Costco yesterday getting gas for the last time. We'll get into that another day. I don't know if you guys have seen that. I was filling up at $2.59 a gallon. It's like $60 to fill my truck. Less than that. I was very empty too, which is why I had to go to a Costco because I was working near one. So instead of my normal gas station. So there you go, friends. I don't exactly know, because the argument you get, well, oh, beef's expensive because it costs a lot of money to truck it. Well, I understand it's diesel and it's going to be more money, but just the loopholes of pigeonholing Trump's economy, guys, are evaporating by the day. And I don't see people panicking. If you watch that cabinet meeting, I don't see Scott Bessent panicking. I don't see Lutnick panicking or Trump panicking. What I see is a lot of confidence in the future of this economy over the next several years. And they're pointing to specifically 2026 when the one big beautiful bill, AKA the one big beautiful law, kicks in. I mean, I won't get a return because I'm self-employed, so I never get a return. But I'm very, very interested for those of you that are W-2 employees and file your taxes. I don't need to know how much. I don't want to know how much you make, but I just want to know the percentage increase of your tax return. So in other words, say your return was 5,500 last year, and you're going to get back with the one big beautiful bill like 7,500. I want to know, was it a 30% boost? Everybody's going to be different depending on what your income and vocation, and what's, this is your federal tax return. If you're in a state with state income tax, that's not really relevant. It's more the federal return, how much money you're getting back. Really interested to know how much better you folks did, and I hope you do way better, and I think you will.
Did the child tax credit go up?
What went up? Say that again.
The child tax credit.
I think it stayed the same from his
Okay.
2017 bill. So at minimum, we're all staying the same. I'm staying at 21% for my LLC, which is fine. That's acceptable to me. It was in the mid 30s during Obama. So, but many other things like especially if you're a gig worker or you're a bartender or a server, I gotta tell you, if you're a cop or a fireman who they do overtime every week, I think the first $30,000 a year you make in overtime is tax free. If you're a retired person, no tax on Social Security benefits. No tax on overtime if you get OT at your job. I think it's up to 20 or 30,000. Guys, that's going to increase your spending power greatly. Your consumer, your dollar gets stretched a lot farther. Is what I'm getting at here. All right. So Nicole's got her hand up. Go right ahead.
I was just going to say that, yeah, for retirees, it's just a $6,000 deduction. They kept saying, initially that it was going to be no taxes on Social Security, but the Senate nixed that and changed it.
But
But
still,
it's still, yeah, it's still more money. Yeah. Okay. Well, so you're saying it's up to $6,000 more in your
Well,
per year?
so what it is when you file your taxes, you take a $6,000 deduction. So it doesn't exactly work out. I mean, it's gonna be different for everybody. It may not work out to exactly $6,000 back in your pocket, but I mean, it's early, so I'm trying to figure. But yeah, but I mean, it's better than a poke in the eye, and hey, it's going the right direction. So no complaining, just saying that Trump's intention was to have no taxes on Social Security, and instead they turned it around so that at the end of the year you get to file a deduction, and that's okay. It's better. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that wasn't his intention, but it's a good way to go.
I never had taxes taken out of my Social Security, nor my husband. So what you're saying is, and then we had to pay the government back every year because we didn't have any taxes taken out. So what you're saying is, my husband and I will get a $6,000 deduction.
Correct. So that when you don't pay in, then yeah. So when you do file your taxes, so if you may not have to pay anything in. I mean, there's a
Great.
good chance, or at least that $6,000 that you won't have to pay in. I mean, I'm not saying it clearly, but yes. So again, it's going to come at the end of the year, not during the year. But if you're not paying in anyway, then you would pay less at the end of the year versus having to pay in as
Well,
much.
I think no, you explained it clear. Now I understand. I have a clear understanding. So what he's trying to people who are pensioners or so they tend to be on what we call fixed income because they're not working full time anymore. They're living off of a set rate. Whether it's they get a job pension or a military pension or Social Security. So if all their pensions equal I don't know 2,800 a month, that's their base of income. It generally doesn't go up or down. So that's what So what it is it's easing the burden on retired people.
Oh,
Be-
for sure. Yeah.
yeah. No, you explained it fine, Nicole. Now I get it. I'm 20 years away from retiring, so or I'll never. I don't think I'll ever retire because
Oh my God, you're a youngster.
well, there won't be anything left when I'm 46. Though I'm not planning on any money. I'm self-employed, so I haven't really. I've made so much money, like out of the system, so to speak, that I don't. I'm not really going to need an $800 check every month from the government. They're just going to tax. I mean, I have other things set up like rental property. I mean, I'm going to make 10 times the money off of the pension with these units. So I don't really need the money because I don't want to be taxed on it. So I'm not planning. Anybody under 50 in here, I would honestly, my non-professional advice would be not to depend on a retirement benefit from the government. In fact, anything I've paid in, if they offered it back to me tax free, I would take it and reinvest it somewhere else. It's really you shouldn't be living off of that pension alone when you guys all know this. You shouldn't be living off of that alone, and none of you are. You've all been smart with your money, I'm sure. So I just I'm very pessimistic on Social Security, and you know what? It had a good run. It's an 80-year-old program, or when did it come out? In the 40s? I mean, World War II, we'll say. It had a good run. It was flawed from the beginning. It only got worse over the years. And really, the people who have paid into it the longest, the boomers now, they deserve to get it because they've been paying into it the longest. You know, I haven't been paying into it. I'm a 1979 birth year, so I've not been paying into it long, and I really I never wanted to depend on it, and I don't want taxable income like that when I'm in my 60s. That's why rents are better than any government pension because if I can, the rent can go up and I can make more money and live off of that after my expenses are paid. That's what I plan to do. So, all right. So I'm going to put the pin in Van Epps, guys. And if you want to talk about it, you can. I want to move to Somalians, which I know is Janet's favorite subject. Just kidding, Janet. But President Trump is really, the first year he talked about Venezuela all the time and for good reason. But now he's pivoting into Somalians in and around the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. Let me give you a quick history on that. So since the Black Hawk Down years of the early 90s, when Bill Clinton had that failed invasion of Mogadishu, or failed, you guys have seen the movie Black Hawk Down. It's excellent. We have been accepting Somali refugees of all places into Minneapolis, the greater Minneapolis Twin Cities area, Minneapolis and St. Paul, right across from each other, really for the last 30 years. And this is where you get your Elon Omar. And they've really become, because it's now been a generation, sadly, they've really become a fixture in Minnesota. And it's, a very cold state, the land of 1,000 lakes. And it's very interesting that you have a people from sub-Saharan Africa decide to live in probably the coldest fucking place in the United States. But anyway, they've really, much like you would think, the Cuban population resides in Miami. Cuban American, well, they're legal immigrants. The Cuban American population in Miami, or the Mexican American population in, for example, El Paso, Texas, or San Diego, California. Now we have because it's been 30 years, we now have the Somali community synonymous with Minneapolis. Okay. The city of the Minnesota Twins, the Minnesota Vikings, Prince and the Revolution. Minneapolis up until 1993 or 4 was known for many things. Somalians were not one of them. And what's expedited, and you've had really bad governors there over the last few decades, like Jesse Ventura and some other clowns. And then you have this current clown, Tim Walz, who, of course, was the vice presidential nominee for the Democrat Party last year. And Trump called him a fucking retard. So that is true, actually. By the way, guys, let me pause. If somebody wants to co-host just to approve mics, that would be excellent. In case people still have the ability to not to hear, you don't have to do anything. Let me just get somebody up. Gemini, I see you dropped. Let me see if you can do it again. Since you're used to it, I'll just get you back up. Yeah, but Tim Walz is a retard, because now the Department of Justice and Department of Treasury are on his ass right now because of the situation with all the fraud, and that the Somalian community has been stealing billions of dollars a year, it seems, in federal money from the state of Minnesota. Or how do they say it in Minnesota? Minnesota. They've got that really obnoxious accent in Minnesota. I never liked it. Anyway, there's going to be a lot of heat on Tim Walz's ass right now, because now he's going to have that city loaded with feds, and not just ICE. You're talking about DEA, FBI, even Treasury's involved. Remember, it's all across the federal agencies, DEA, ICE, ATF. They're all working together now, possibly the National Guard, to clean up crime in all these cities. Now, it'll probably be mostly an ICE operation, because the idea is there's tens of thousands of illegals in Minneapolis of Somali descent. That is true. They don't integrate, and now they're running these little ghettos that look like Mogadishu. Now, Trump is right that their country has nothing. They have barely any running water. They don't have a functional government. They're a failed state. All they do is run around and kill each other. So when you have a bony ass Elon Omar getting elected supposedly to Congress, and a lot of people make it about the Islam, I don't even give a shit about that.
Okay, so I came to Walmart today just to see if this was real. You see this? Do you see this big box of like cookie things? These? And it says product of India. Product of India right there. I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready for this.
Puedes ir por las tuyas a tu tienda favorita. Ross, Burlington, Target, Safeway, entre otras.
Okay, so I came to